Hey, this is Amanda with Dusty Trail RV, and I wanted to make a brief video to sort of introduce myself and kind of give the backstory about how I ended up living this life. It all started, I would say, probably about a year and a half ago, maybe a little longer, and I had a beautiful home, a very old home. It was an old historic bungalow. I poured time, money, and effort into it for a little over 6 years, remodeling everything, and just really settling into this home. And I would say that I considered it like my cave, my hidey hole, my place of comfort, a sanctuary, and I loved it. So I had a bit of an upheaval. I like to call it an unmooring of my life around that time frame, and I realized that everything needed to change. I needed to leave the area. I needed to figure out where I would be moving to. I narrowed it down to a few different parts of the country. And then I knew that in my line of work, once I got there, it would be testing processes to figure out which job I would end up in. So even when I moved to an area, who knew where I would end up, which city I would end up, which county I would end up, which part of the state I would end up. So this left me with a lot of uncertainty. And so I was looking at my house, this place that I love, this place that is home and safe and familiar, and was facing the understanding and accepting that I would have to sell it. So I decided that I didn't want to have to continue to do that. It was hard enough to sell someplace that I love to live. So what I did was started researching RVs. And my thought process is, I don't know where I'm going to end up. I'm probably going to be several places until I actually settle down someplace. I don't want to go through the trouble and the effort of researching, finding an apartment or a house to rent, figuring out how long I was even going to be there. Was it going to be there? Was I only going to be in the area for a month or two? Was I going to be there for a year? I didn't know. So all of this just seemed like such a waste of time, money, and effort. I was looking at the housing costs where I would end up moving and the rental costs, and they were astronomical. And I felt ultimately, even though I was a homeowner, priced out of the home market. And so I decided, yeah, I'm going to do this RV life. And when I started researching, everything I found was geared towards selling freedom and geared towards selling a life of travel and very geared towards couples and retirees and people who worked remotely. I am not any of those things. I am not a couple. I am not a retiree. I definitely cannot work remotely. My line of work is hands-on. So how can people like me live this lifestyle that essentially is marketed and designed for freedom? How can I have a piece of this freedom while also living somewhat of my normal life? And so when I started my research, I noticed a lot was, these are the greatest trails to go to, these are the greatest bike racks to put on your trailer, and it was all about on the road. And I just didn't feel like a lot of it applied to me, so I had to dig in and research very deeply. I had to score the internet to find resources to kind of point out people who were kind of like me, who were doing it stationary. I consider myself kind of a weekend warrior, so I wanted to find a consistent place and just stay there and leave whenever I wanted to. So after a ton of research, I found that there are some people that do this. And when I was trying to figure out, okay, the logistics behind this. I was like, okay, what kind of trailer I'm going to need to get? And then there's thousands of different types of trailers. So then I'm completely overwhelmed with that. And so I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out what my non-negotiables are. What I found is so many trailers are geared towards either on the road, off-road style living, off the grid style living, or they're geared to be a mansion on wheels. Most of the time they are designed to sleep the most people possible. Tons of bunk rooms. It's all about how to cram people comfortably into this space. I didn't need that. As a single person, why do I need the ability to sleep 8 people? I don't. I would like that space for something else. And so I was looking and I'm like, well, there really aren't too many travel trailers and RVs that are designed for this. So then I started finding the few that really were designed to fit my needs. Why are there not more of these geared towards singles or couples or professionals that have to move around? So I found my trailer, which is a Vibe, a Forest River Vibe, and it's 34-foot trailer. What really struck me about this trailer was it was one of the very few travel trailers that had washer-dryer hookups. That was a big non-negotiable for me. I go through clothes in my line of work where I need to be able to wash my clothes, and I didn't want to have to worry about going to a laundromat. So I found one that fit my size needs and also had a washer-dryer hookup. And this particular trailer really stood out because it's got a spacious room. It has a nice, comfortable flow to the living area, and it's got a decent bathroom for a travel trailer. So in a different video, I'm actually going to do a walkthrough of the travel trailer so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I did all this research, found this trailer, and then I was like, okay, how do I find one? So I looked out and researched and looked on RV Traders and essentially went with one that I found that was brand new at a Camping World, I want to say in like Minnesota. So I got it shipped to where I was at and then went through the stages of making sure my vehicle was appropriate. I drove a Toyota Tacoma, which would not be able to haul a trailer this size. So then I dug into what configurations on vehicles can handle this, because not every truck, as many people know, but some people don't, not every truck is built the same. So I was looking at the different configurations for each truck to see which one actually was designed to handle more weight, and I ultimately fell on an F-150 XLT with a 3.5 EcoBoost, and this truck has the ability to tow a lot of weight. So that was what I was going to do. So then I had to find one. So it was all of this compiling of information, and my main goal was to essentially never have to go through the trauma of moving when I didn't want to move again. I don't want to have to find an apartment to rent, a house to buy, not until I'm really settled somewhere. And so I sold my house, I sold my Tacoma, I moved into the travel trailer and towed it from the Midwest to northern Texas, and then I ended up northern Texas. I towed it all the way down to South Florida until I settled in the southwest area of Florida again, and then now I'm here, and I don't know how long I'll stay in this area. So over the last year, I've put a lot of miles on this, but what I've found is that there is a lot of obstacles when it comes to where do I stay? Where do I park this thing? I'm relocating to this area. Where can I find a place with hookups? And in Florida, there's a season where the snowbirds are down here and in their retirement RVs, and they have taken up all of the RV parks. So I had to figure out where I could go. And I found a lot of wonderful resources and realized that there is a lot here for people. This is a very doable lifestyle for many people, and it's affordable. And I've done so much of the legwork to try to find how to make this happen. And so now I consider myself a weekend warrior, where I work and then I'm stationary here. Sometimes I don't move for 3-4 weeks, but then I have several days off, and I look at the map and say, where do I want to go? So I pack up my trailer, tow it somewhere else for a week or however long I want to be there, and then I actually pay rent for a space where I'm at now, so then it's here when I come back. So it really affords me an incredible amount of freedom. Yes, I had to downsize so much in my life. I had to basically go from having a 1,200 square foot house that had a large yard and a garage, and I had a workshop. I do woodworking and I build things, and so all of these tools and everything, I was like, well, what do I do with it? So I found a really cheap storage unit and put my tools, my power tools and the big stuff in a storage unit, and got rid of the rest of everything else and just live like that. At first I thought, okay, I don't know what I'm going to get rid of. I don't know if I'm going to miss this or if I'm going to need this. What I found is the longer I've lived this life, I don't miss anything. I don't miss anything. And even the things that I put in my storage unit that I was like, maybe I'm going to get a house again, I don't know. I might as well throw those things away, and most of it I have thrown away or sold or gotten rid of because it's not my life anymore. These are things that you can just get rid of. What I have now is a very cozy, comfortable home that is familiar to me, and I can take it with me when I go traveling. I love that I don't have to find Airbnbs and deal with paying more for the cleaning fee somewhere than the Airbnb itself. And I love having my bed with me and my fridge with the food that I like to eat, and not having to worry about those logistics everywhere I go. Even when I was moving this from place to place, I got tired of driving. I would pull into a parking lot, a well-lit parking lot of a Publix or a Walmart or something like that, and just crawl into my bed and sleep for a few hours and make a snack out of my refrigerator that is powered by solar panels, so it's always on. It's just so freeing. It's literally just taking home base with you everywhere you go. And so I wanted to come on here and make a blog and to make videos to show people that this is a doable lifestyle. It's a doable lifestyle for a young couple. Actually, it's a doable lifestyle for a couple of any age, as we see our retirees just living it up and living the best life ever. And then people like me who are still working, still hitting their grind, but want the freedom to do whatever they want whenever they want. So I want to show people that that's an option. I want to show people that you don't have to be limited by the housing market. You don't have to pay ludicrous amounts of rent. For example, in the county I live in, I don't think you can even find a rental like less than like $1,600 a month. And I pay $600 a month to park my RV somewhere where it's safe and I can plug in and hook up. I might pay $100 in utilities maybe, but that's what I pay. That is what I pay. I have a payment on my travel trailer. I think it ends up being like $200 a month. So if you add that together, 6, 7, 8, 9, I pay maybe $900 a month for my lifestyle with this ultimate freedom. And people can do it a lot cheaper. You don't have to have a travel trailer that has that high of a cost. You can find places where you live might be a lot cheaper. I know in some states, in some areas, you can stay monthly at RV parks or trailer parks for, $400 or $500 a month, even cheaper than that. So I mean, this is a doable option, and what better way to tell the housing market that it's unsustainable than to leave it. So I did the research. I have this wealth of knowledge, and I want to share it with whoever can benefit from it and show you that you can do whatever you want, and it is all possible. And I'm going to tell you how I did it, and hopefully give you the freedom to do it yourself.